every time something happens, there is a bit of hopes this is the moment they get it back together and go, do you know what, life's too short, it's ridiculous. Look at our shared history, look at what happened to our mother, look at how that affected us both as kids, we went through it together. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you think of just that aspect of it. Nothing would surely ever break that excruciating bond that they had to endure, and only their brotherly love carried them through, all of that. And yet it appears not. It appears that nothing we have heard or seen so far is likely to change, and to kind of compound the misery, they weren't even told.
This woman has cancer, has 3 young kids, waited till the Easter holidays, has gone to Norfolk. Can we please leave this woman alone? But her dignity, I have to say, shone through.
She was so dignified, and she was so clever to do it on the last day of the school term.
Yeah, she was.
And she decided 2 weeks ago that she wanted to do it. So can you imagine that agonising wait, seeing the trolls, seeing the conspiracies getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and knowing that she didn't, for the sake of her children, she could not release the information any sooner than that Friday, which is a really dignified thing to do, because she could have thought, OK, well, we told the kids now, let's just end this horrible speculation online and release the video or record the video earlier. But she stuck to her guns. She really put her children first. Yeah. And as for the trolls that are still going, I mean, their claims are so bizarre now.
I'd prosecute.
The idea that it's AI generated, and the claim that sort of her wisp of hair moved in a fake. I mean, it's not.
People have really got to do.
Exactly.
Have got cancer, for God's sake. There isn't anybody with any credibility who doesn't do anything but leave this poor woman alone. I'm sick and tired of hearing about, oh, we bully this and we bully that. This woman has cancer. Leave it, seriously.
Totally, and William has this huge phobia of the paparazzi, OK? Because in the bygone era, it was cameras on motorbikes chasing Diana. But with Kate, you know, there isn't that anymore. But there is lunatics online, and in their billions, not in their hundreds or tens like in the 90s. You know, there's billions of people obsessing over her, and they've just got to stop doing it now, because the whole point of
that...
They
won't, though, will they, Charlotte?
Well, I mean, the other thing she could do is not look at social media. But, I mean, sadly, we know that before her statement, she was aware of all the rumours, whereas Meghan and Harry say, don't they? They say, oh, we never look at Twitter. They claim they never look at Twitter. But Kate actually does. That's the really sad thing. So my only hope for her is that she just stops looking at any social media, literally has her phone taken away from her, has a nice Easter break.
I said this earlier, and I'm not jumping in and out. I had cancer 10 years ago. Preemptive chemotherapy is basically a process before the cancer has spread through the lymph nodes. I know that that's a medical fact. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was quite a positive thing from, I mean, taking it by pill or by intravenous drip. Horrible chemotherapy. Some people lose their hair, some people lose their skin. Horrible, being poisoned in effect. But I quite thought it was quite a positive thing. I think basically they'd found it, probably removed it, and were making sure that it hadn't spread. I think
that's what it means. It hasn't spread, and there's hope. And she did say, I'll come through this. She was pretty adamant about this. You know, I will be okay. So let's hope they've caught it early.
Having that conversation. You've had a daughter now.
With children,
that's the saddest thing about this, is she didn't want to tell her children. Yeah. Or at least not this way. And I've got a friend who has had cancer and has never told her children. Wow. And you know, and the thought that she may well have had no intention of telling her kids at any point, but she had to because of how the world works, and that's really sad for her, I think.
But she does seem to be a very, very resilient person.
Yeah, she does seem to be a resilient person, and of course, you know, they have been stung by the criticism. Both she and William have been stung by the criticism and the accusations, quite a lot of it, which comes from America. You know, they started off this where is Kate scenario and everything else. You know, right at the start, we were told that she had, you know, this abdominal surgery and was going to be off, you know, work up until Easter. Well, since then, things, you know, the goalposts have moved a little bit. It's a little bit more serious than that surgery. And, you know, she's got to take time to process, you know, as anybody has got to take time to process the fact that they're being told that they've got cancer. And then she's got to, you know, she's a young mum, and she's got to tell her children, who have 10, 8 and 5 as well.
And how do you even explain to a 5-year-old that story, that, you know, mummy's going through some serious health issues? And I mean, it's a very, very difficult thing for anyone, let alone someone who is so prominent in our society.
It is, but I think Catherine has been doing it right. She has told the children, mummy is going through some, is not very well, but is feeling fine now and will get better. She's got a very positive attitude, towards her, her cancer. And, God bless her for it, and best of luck to it.
Palace insiders claim the Princess of Wales was inspired to open up about her treatment after witnessing the warmth and affection that her father-in-law got when he announced his own diagnosis, and they're known to have formed a strong bond over the years, sharing a love of art and gardening and the outdoors. And the King revealed he was undergoing treatment in February. That was after a procedure for an enlarged prostate, temporarily stepped back from royal duties. And we now know the Princess of Wales was also diagnosed in February and in similar circumstances, only learning that cancer was present after getting surgery for an unrelated issue. On Friday evening, hashtags including We Love You, Catherine, and Get Well Soon, Catherine, were trending on social media, political leaders and celebrities from around the world expressing sympathy and support. Following her announcement, the King has said that he was very proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. And we know that they had a meeting on the Thursday before she gave the speech at Windsor Castle where they chatted. We also know that Charles sees her as the daughter he never had.
Here's the good news. The King, who of course is suffering from cancer, has announced he will be there with the royal family this Sunday for Easter Sunday at St George's Chapel. So back in action. That's good.
Good. I mean, wonderful. And where better to go than if you're dealing with a big thing in your life than church at Easter. I'm just putting that out there.
It's great to see him back.
No, but he is a very Christian man. This is his belief system. This is his faith, and so I can understand fully why he wants to be there. I'll also be going to church on Easter Sunday. Not the same one.
Want a medal?
No, just
Okay, good.
chit chat with him upstairs. Eternal salvation. Exactly. Well done.
You win our Holy Joe Award for the day. Well done. Congratulations. Can I pin it on you?
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. No, but those of us who are perhaps not quite so enamoured of the Christian belief. I am a Christian, by the way. I'm just not sure.
Just don't believe in God.
I just don't believe in any of it. But for those of us who are ungodly atheists, it is still damn good. I use the word damn to see King Charles back in action.
It really is.
And of course, he is a man of faith. I agree with that. But he's sending us a message because suddenly we were shocked last Friday to learn that Kate's got cancer too. We almost forgot in the storm over that Charles has been suffering from it too. And I think apart from wanting to get back to church, because he is a man of faith, he wants to send us a message. Yeah. I am recovering, and I think he is, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think it's wonderful to see. I mean, we had, was it last week or the week before that, in one of the railway stations in London, King's Cross, you started seeing various professions of hadiths of the Muslim faith being written in public spaces, and the kind of outcry that came along from there.
Oh, yeah.
His Majesty is a defender of the faith, and that might upset all kinds of other people as well, but that is still the sort of reigning idea in this country. It's great that he can do this. And of course, Charles has been excellent at making people feel that they belong no matter what kind of faith or none that they have.
Now, the King has confirmed he will be attending the Easter service at St George's Chapel in Windsor on Sunday. The monarch will be accompanied by Queen Camilla, but the royal contingent is still expected to be considerably smaller than usual to minimise the King's contact with others.
The Prince and Princess of Wales will not be present at the service following last week's shock announcement that Kate Middleton has cancer. It comes as it is revealed that the Princess's video message has led to a 5-fold increase in visits to cancer websites and NHS advice pages. Joining us now is talkTV royal correspondent Rupert Bell. A number of royal issues to talk about today, Rupert. But first, the very good news that Charles has announced he will join the rest of the family at church in St George's Chapel on Easter Sunday. One doesn't want to overstate it, but I'm assuming these are small steps back towards full health for our sovereign.
I would suggest this is a sort of semi-public private occasion. We are used to them gathering at Christmas when they appear in the family are all together for Christmas, and they do something similar at Easter. So I think it's not a total surprise, but and we know that he has been going to church, as we've seen the pictures now, at Sandringham, while he has been recovering from not only the initial prostate problem, but then subsequently the diagnosis with cancer. So it's not a total surprise. As you say, though, it will be a much reduced royal party with the Princess and Prince of Wales and their children away in Norfolk. And obviously there will be a smaller contingent of the rest. How large it will be remains to be seen. But the King has been carrying out duties in private, and we've seen plenty of photographs of him holding meetings, meeting ambassadors, and getting on with the job behind the scenes. But as you say, this is perhaps a slight baby step towards doing more public-facing duties as he continues his recovery.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of when people are having treatments or suffering from cancer is they do need to protect themselves somewhat from picking up any bugs or anything that might be sort of environmental in the atmosphere while their immune system struggles to cope with whatever treatments they're going through. But the King is a man of faith, isn't he? And a regular churchgoer, and it is, of course, Easter Sunday. Yes, and he's been holding meetings, sort of multi-faith meetings within Buckingham Palace just recently. So he is a very well, he's head of the church as well, and obviously Easter Sunday is a significant day in the church in this country, as it is for all Christians around the world.
The news was beginning to sink in and percolate, and I suppose one of the things that her great bravery has engendered in so many people is the desire to face up to the possibility that they might have a cancer diagnosis, rather than doing what some people naturally do, which is just think, oh my God, I think I better not go to the doctor, I don't want to check this out, I think I'll ignore it, I'll ignore the symptoms.
Yes, and also particularly for someone Kate's age.
Yes.
42, young, fit, healthy, you don't expect to get that kind of diagnosis, and that's why she described it as such a shock. But we are told now by the NHS and by various cancer charities that they did see a big surge in website traffic following that. So Macmillan Cancer Support saw 100,000 visits to their website between Friday night and Sunday night.
Wow.
So that's a 10% increase. The NHS website saw a 5-fold increase in traffic to its cancer pages. And in particular, the page on cancer symptoms, 1 in every 3 seconds, somebody was clicking on that to look at the symptoms. Now, of course, we don't know what sort of cancer Kate has, so we're talking about general information being searched out. But we did see a similar pattern after the King revealed his diagnosis. And yesterday, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, who herself has been going through double cancer battles against, she had breast cancer, and now she's been treated for skin cancer as well. She praised Kate for having the courage to come forward, and she then said, you know, it will make a huge difference and it will save lives, because somebody of her profile talking about it is hugely significant.
I mean, it really is a very important contribution to make, isn't it? And certainly, you know, the King has been so specific about the enlarged prostate and then the cancer that was found, that you can imagine men all over the country and all over the world thinking, well, hang on a minute, what were his symptoms? Let me just check. Oh, gosh, I better go and get myself sorted out. And if the King's undergoing treatment, then I can undergo treatment.
Given the seriousness of this situation, both Kate and the King suffering from cancer, there can be nothing more serious medically than that. Surely it's time for the brothers to bury the hatchet. I think they forget how deep Harry plunged that hatchet, and William is in no mood to forgive and forget, despite the emotional circumstances that he and indeed all of us find ourselves right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think William, frankly, gave a thought to contacting Harry and Meghan. I think William is focused with a laser-like beam on his wife's health and on his children. And I just think that he has put the blinkers on completely where the Harry problem, if you like, is concerned. I don't think he has, nor should we expect him to have, the emotional strength to deal with this new trauma in his life. And I don't think any pressure or expectation should be put on him to bury the hatchet, as you say, with his brother. It's not going to happen. I'm sure Harry and Meghan are very sad, and that allegedly they have, I hate that American term, they've reached out. They've contacted the couple privately. But I don't think that would mean anything much to William and Catherine at this stage. And I think the rift is the last thing on their mind.
Reports that Harry and Meghan found out about Kate's condition along with the rest of the world. But despite reaching out privately to the Prince and Princess of Wales, it appears there may be no way back for the Sussexes. Royal insiders claim William and Kate have put the Harry problem behind them as they focus on Kate's recovery. talkTV's royal editor, Sarah Houston, joins me now. There's always a bit of me in that. I mean, we'll come back to the serious point of this story with Kate in just a moment. But in terms of this turbulent relationship with the brother and the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law and all the rest of it, the Sussexes over there in California, every time something happens, there is a bit of me that hopes this is the moment they get it back together and go, do you know what? Life's too short. It's ridiculous. Look at our shared history. Look at what happened to our mother. Look at how that affected us both as kids. We went through it together. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you think of just that aspect of it. Nothing would surely ever break that excruciating bond that they had to endure. And only their brotherly love carried them through it. So all of that. And yet it appears not. It appears that nothing we have heard or seen so far is likely to change, and to kind of compound the misery, they weren't even told, which you might think protocol, despite everything, would have dictated they would be told.
But I think this was such a closely guarded secret, and for good reason, to protect the children from it until they were ready to break the news to their children in their own way, that they didn't trust Harry and Meghan with that information because they didn't know whether that was going to get out there somehow. And I think it does give us a sign of just how deep that rift is. And look, I think Harry will be reflecting on this. He loves Kate, we know that. He talked about her in the past as the sister he'd never had and always wanted. Yeah. There was a real bond between them, but he said some pretty awful things in Netflix and in Spare, some things that William's very angry about and very protective of his wife about. And I think this might have put some of those into perspective for them. But as for whether it's the moment when that rift is going to be healed, yes, it certainly focuses the mind, doesn't it? But I think for the Waleses, for William and Kate, they will want to minimise any kind of stress.
You can understand why the last thing they would do is speak to those gossip merchants who basically survive simply by being able to talk about the royal family. They're the last people you would tell. And frankly, if you were going through a tough time, they're probably the last people you care to see.
Yeah, well, they've made that clear, Charlie, that they fear that the gruesome twosome from Montecito would sort of barge in on this story and cash in on it, if you like. I'm not saying financially, but they would cash in on it publicity-wise. And again, the royal publicity machine has let it be known that neither Charles nor Kate are going to spend any time thinking about what has been classified as the Harry problem. So in these circumstances, they're both battling cancer. They've got far more important things to worry about than the Harry and Meghan Montecito publicity machine.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And look, when the King Charles was diagnosed, Harry made a flying visit over, and it was a flying visit. I can't quite recall whether Harry and William met during that time, but they didn't. I didn't think. But you're absolutely right. Why on earth would you, when you're dealing with such personal and private information, that you would tell anyone that you might think would then try and take the limelight away for what it's worth?
We might as well talk about Harry. A front page of The Sun today. Lawsuit links Duke with rapper. This is the story that... I can't say his name. Is it Combs or Coombs?
It's Sean P. Diddy Combs.
Can you tell us what these allegations are? We saw pictures in the UK, I think yesterday, wasn't it, of his mansions in wherever being ransacked by the FBI. This morning, his sex trafficking case.
Yeah, I just want to stress, and I've seen a lot of the comparisons to Epstein and Andrew. This is not the case. There is no proof that Prince Harry nurtured any type of relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs. His name is mentioned in a $30 million lawsuit, I believe, by the accuser to elevate the status of this lawsuit. He's trying to, within the pages of the lawsuit, prove Prince Harry's power. P. Diddy's power by association with Prince Harry, but these photos are from 2007. In a 2011 interview with Graham Norton, Diddy, jokes about Harry, and it's clear that these two don't have a relationship with each other. So I just think that this is the accuser trying to garner more attention for this lawsuit and trying to legitimize his lawsuit a little bit more by adding the glitz and glamour of throwing Prince Harry under the bus. And, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. Prince Harry, people are going to be mad at me for giving him the benefit of the doubt here, but I think this is a nothing burger.
The Duke of Sussex, as we reported yesterday, has been named in a $30 million US lawsuit alleging that Sean Diddy Combs, who's a rapper, used his name to give sex trafficking parties legitimacy. There's no suggestion, obviously, whatsoever that the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, attended any of these parties. But Rodney Jones, who's known as Lil Rod, who's a record producer, has accused Sean Combs of a litany of sexual assault allegations. And this is a 73-page lawsuit against the rapper and several of his associates and record labels filed in New York last month. Afua, what do you make of this? I reported this yesterday when it was breaking news, and my Twitter absolutely lit up.
And this is a prime example of someone using someone else's name to drag them, into a situation that's pretty sordid, to say the least. I'm really glad you said there in your intro that Prince Harry has not been accused of anything. His name is only mentioned once, and it's an example of the type of people that perhaps P. Diddy wishes he has associated with. So the actual sentence in the lawsuit says something like, it was his VIP associations with celebrities such as famous athletes, political figures, artists, musicians, and international dignitaries like British Royal Prince Harry as the only time it's mentioned. And also, obviously, there's been pictures. We've seen lots of, or this particular picture of Prince Harry with P. Diddy and Kanye West. Prince William was also there as well when they met. That was backstage at the concert for Diana in 2007. So there is no indication at all that Prince Harry was ever involved in any of these allegations that have been made against P. Diddy, and we have to say that P. Diddy denies all these allegations. But it shows what happens when somebody wants to drag someone's name into something.
Yeah.
When he wanted to use his association with the British royal family that he didn't have in any way, shape or form.
It was the car crash interview that made headlines around the world. And now Prince Andrew's infamous sit-down with the then Newsnight host Emily Maitlis is being made into its very own film on Netflix. It is the world premiere of Scoop tonight, and Showbiz royalty have already started flocking to the red carpet. Joining me in the studio now is Showbiz editor at The Sun on Sunday, Hannah Hope. Good to see you, Hannah. And down the line, talkTV's royal editor, Sarah Hewson. Sarah, let's just revisit this moment. I mean, everybody who watched it, and that's people all over the world, will never be able to forget it, because I don't think any of us could believe our ears or our eyes, could we?
It was the car crash interview to end all interviews, wasn't it, Vanessa? One that many of us watched from behind our hands, cringing, unable to believe that Prince Andrew was really saying these things. You might remember him telling Emily Maitlis that he had a rare condition that meant he was unable to sweat, that he'd had a night out at Pizza Express in Woking, among other things, and just a straightforward shooting weekend, he described. Just some of the infamous quotes that came out of that now notorious interview, which is being made into a film. The consequences of that interview, personally, for Prince Andrew were catastrophic. Just a few days later, he was forced to step down from public life. He was stripped of his military titles, no longer able to use his HRH. And ever since, he has been in exile. He, of course, has always maintained that he was innocent of any of the accusations that were made about him by Virginia Giuffre, but the association that he had with Jeffrey Epstein has cost him very dear indeed.
And not to mention the money that he paid.
Yes, because rather than going to court, he had an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre, and that meant that there was no embarrassing court case with Prince Andrew having to reveal further details. It was, if you remember, the year of the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and there was a sense that this was going to overshadow that.
but it also meant that he was unable to clear his name. So he has settled without accepting any culpability, but it has left him effectively in exile in Windsor and persona non grata because, you know, it was excruciatingly embarrassing. There were very, very damaging allegations that were made against him, and they still stand.